Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to look forward to the UPPCS preparation for 2024 and the prelims date is May 26. Alright, so 10 months are basically left for the prelims date and 10 months are really less if you are dedicatedly preparing for the state PCS examinations, and for the people who have already prepared for UPSC or other state examinations for 2 to 3 years, it's the 10 months gap is very good. You can easily ace the exam in 10 months, but for the people who are starting this year, specifically for the freshers, 10 months is a very less time. So you have to start ASAP for the UPPCS preparation, and this video is specifically after the change syllabus. So for prelims, there is as such no change in the syllabus, but for the mains, they have removed the optional and they have added two UP specific papers. So prelims remains the same. So in this video, we are going to discuss about the prelims subject list and the book list and how to go about it. Okay, in 10 months. All right. So let's start the video. So first, specifically the subjects for prelims in UPSC and UPPCS remains the same. In UPSC also we are dealing with history, polity, geography, environment and science and tech, and in UPSC also we are dealing with the same things, but there's a change in the questions, as in the kind of questions which are asked in UPSC is quite different from the ones which are asked in UPPCS prelims. In UPPCS prelims, the questions which are asked are they are point to point. For example, if there's a particular question in history, it will be point to point. They won't be you don't really have to think a lot in UPPCS, although there is a change in the pattern. I think in 2020 they have changed a little pattern in UPPCS also. Previously the questions were very direct, but now the questions are not very direct in UPPCS also. So you have to understand the conceptual clarity has to be there in any subject which you are studying, and which again goes same for UPSC also. So previously people who were preparing for UPSC and UPPCS, they both used to prepare for mains. I already have written mains for UPPCS as well, but now since they have changed the pattern for UPPCS, as in they have introduced two new subjects, therefore the people who are simultaneously preparing for the mains of UPPCS and UPSC, they are in a state of confusion to which means they should appear to. If there's a gap, there's a date gap, they can appear for both, but if the date gap is not there, then you have to choose. So for the people who are specifically appearing for UPPCS prelims, we are going to talk about prelims only. So there are 6 subjects, as I've already told you. Now let's go on to the book list. All right. So in ancient history, you have to study NCERT's 11th and 12th class. Then you have to study the Tamil Nadu state books, and then there's a Ghatna Chakra ancient history. All right. So the ancient history again is a very important topic in UPPCS also. There are a number of questions which are asked from ancient history, so you have to study it in a very in depth. You just cannot for example, if there's a question on Gupta dynasty, or there's a question on ports or anything, you have to understand that okay, this time this happened, this time this happened. So ancient history is very important, and many questions are asked from ancient history. All right. Then medieval history is, medieval history UPPCS may, there's a very less chance of questions coming from medieval history. Medieval history mein agar question aayega, so it might be from Mughals, or it might be from the topics which are very important. So for that also you have to study NCERT 11th and 12th class. Then Satish Chandra. Satish Chandra is basically for mains. For prelims you don't really have to study Satish Chandra. And then there's Ghatna Chakra medieval history. So medieval history, if you cover from Ghatna Chakra, most of it is already covered. You don't really have to go for different sources. So in this video I'm specifically talking about the books which are, I'm talking about lesser books, so that there's not much load for the prelims. And if you have a number of sources of books but you're not studying from all of them, then it becomes very difficult. The data is scattered, and you in the exam hall you won't be able to recall what you have already studied. All right. So Ghatna Chakra is very important. It's one very important book for history, ancient history and medieval history both. And I would personally suggest you to make notes out of Ghatna Chakra, because it's a very bulky book, and at the end of the day, the book is so big that it becomes very difficult to revise before the exam. If there are 10 to 15 days left for the prelims, then it becomes very difficult for you to revise. All right. Then modern history may there are lectures by Prateek sir on Mrinal sir's channel. That is free. You can go and have a look on it, and it's a very organized, the way in which the videos have been depicted, they are very organized. All right. So the timeline is such that it becomes very easy for you to remember. All right. So modern history specifically, I would suggest Mrinal sir's, Prateek sir's videos. Then there's a book, Spectrum book, which you study for UPSC as well. And then there's Ghatna Chakra Modern History. All right. So all these things are included in this. Then there's again art and architecture also is included in history, but I've not included it specifically in UPPCS because the questions which are asked are very less, and the questions are also very difficult. You won't be able, the sources are such that it becomes very difficult for you to find the sources in itself. All right, but if you want to study art and architecture, that is also included in Ghatna Chakra, so you can easily study that. For UPSC, I would suggest go for Nitin Singhania, the art and architecture book. It's very good. You will find everything there. And I forgot to mention it here also. You can study Nitin Singhania for art and architecture. All right. Next, we'll go to geography. All right, geography, we will see the physical geography. You can go for NCERT's 11th and 12th. And then there's one book, GC Leong. GC Leong is a very important book for mains perspective because it gives you a very detailed and conceptual clarity regarding the physical geography and human geography. So I would suggest it specifically for the mains. For physical geography, for prelims point of view, you can just study NCERTs and the Ghatna Chakra. All right. So Indian geography, then there's NCERTs again in 11th and 12th again. And then there's this Mrinal sir's video. You will find Rajtanil Solanki ma'am's videos on geography. They're very good videos. All right. You will have a very good understanding of geography just by seeing these videos. So I would personally suggest that go and watch these videos specifically for geography. And again, I've mentioned Ghatna Chakra also. Ghatna Chakra for geography is very important in UPPCS because 90% of the questions get repeated from Ghatna Chakra only. So for the people who are not paying attention to Ghatna Chakra geography, for that matter, any Ghatna Chakra, please make notes on Ghatna Chakra, from Ghatna Chakra. All right. Next, we'll see polity. Polity, the only source which I would suggest is M. Lakshmikant. Don't go for any other book. M. Lakshmikant in itself is sufficient. Don't ponder around thinking that what to do for polity. I think M. Lakshmikant is more than enough for polity. Don't. If anybody is suggesting you that read Durga Basu or any other book, I would just say that it's just going to increase a lot of pressure on you. Then there's no need also. All right. So M. Lakshmikant is sufficient in polity. Then Ghatna Chakra polity, previous year's question you can solve. And then there's Vision IAS polity for mains specifically. So I'm going to make a different video for the mains preparation. And Vision IAS polity book is for mains. All right. You will get everything topic wise there, which is asked in the mains polity paper, GS paper 2. So you can easily study from Vision IAS polity because I think when I've given my mains, I think I've scored maximum in paper 2 only, and I've studied from Vision IAS polity. And IR and everything. So I'm going to talk later in the mains video. I'm just going to tell you that this is the source for polity for the prelims. All right. Then in environment and biodiversity, you will see people are going to tell you a lot of books for environment and biodiversity, but I would suggest that go for Shankar IAS book for basic understanding and conceptual clarity. And apart from that, do the Ghatna Chakra. Alright, so Ghatna Chakra for all 6 subjects is mandatory. Don't forget to do the Ghatna Chakra, and I would suggest that make notes on it as well. Alright, because then in environment and biodiversity also the questions get repeated. For example, Project Tiger, Project Elephant, or forest की अगर report आती है, तो these things do get repeated, or there's a tiger census going on. So please pay attention on the important species which are there in the current, the years, the project years, and the environment terms. They're also talked about much in environment and biodiversity. So environment and biodiversity would be sorted if you study from Ghatna Chakra and Shankar IAS book for the conceptual clarity. All right. Next, we'll see science and technology. Science and technology, one mistake which I had made for my prelims was not studying Lucent Science and Technology. Although it's a very bulky and big book, but there's no need of studying every topic. Just go for the specific topics that you can identify just by looking in the previous year's question papers. That which topics are generally coming time and again in science and tech. And science and tech mein there's a lot of questions which are coming. So if you're ignoring science and tech for UPPCS prelims, please don't do that, because a lot of topics, a lot of questions, I think approximately 25 to 30 questions do come from science and technology. So don't take it for granted ki science and technology, so if I'm an engineer or a doctor, I would be able to easily solve it. It's a very in-depth understanding of science, specifically in biology, and chemistry also. So don't just take it for granted. Please do study Lucent Science and Technology book. Then there's a very small book, Arihant book, which they publish every year. I think it's for 25 to 30 rupees. And in that there's a last part which talks about the science and technology. If you are not doing this, the Lucent thing, if you're not doing this, please go for this. This will suffice for this, but I would suggest that do both, because science and technology plays a very important role in prelim selection. All right, then there's another book, Ghatna Chakra, again for science and technology. Do solve that book. I have personally have made notes for out of Ghatna Chakra in science and technology. It's again a very big book, so it becomes very difficult for you to revise at the end of the day. So don't just overlook this. Make good notes out of this and revise it just before the prelims. Okay. Next is economics. Economics, see, economics is the people who are not coming from the this background. If specifically a person or has not studied economics in 11th and 12th, then it becomes very difficult to understand it. So in the starting, I studied Mrinal sir's economics videos, which obviously provided a very good conceptual clarity of everything, every topic which has been covered or asked in the previous years, or it might be asked in the future. So it gives you a very good conceptual clarity, and when you have that clarity, it becomes very easy to solve many questions in economics. All right, what is inflation, deflation, stagflation, and things like that, the basic things, the graphs and everything. And everything, you know, I would suggest please go through the Mrinal sir's economics videos. They are very good, and they're good for mains also. All right, then there's Ghatna Chakra. Ghatna Chakra again for economics. I don't personally feel that it's a very good book for previous year's economics papers, but for that timing, if you're not doing anything, just do this, because it will give you an idea of how questions, the type of questions which are asked in UPPSCs. All right, and then there's this Vision IS scheme specific edition. Because you know, in UPPCS there are certain questions which are asked. For example, Jal Jeevan Mission has been introduced in which year, or Pradhan Mantri Bima Yojana has been introduced in which year, or things like that. So the Vision IS scheme specifically tells you the years, the aims and everything. So go for it. You will find it you know, easily online. And if you are like preparing offline and you're studying near the centers, then you will find it very easily. All right. Then there's a current affairs book list. Drishti book, latest edition for current affairs. And then there's UP special pointer. Okay, so this is the most important book, the Drishti book. Okay, if you're doing current affairs from this, I don't think you need to study anything else apart from this. It will provide you a wholesome idea of preparation for UPPCS current affairs, because in current affairs also UPPCS plays a very important, the current affairs also plays a very important role in UPPCS selection, in the way that a lot of current affairs are asked, and they are very direct current affairs, you know, which you might not study for UPPCS, or which you might not study for any other examinations. They ask you very direct current affairs. And for example, if a certain event is going to take place, then for example, if a G20 summit is going to take place in India, so they'll provide you with certain very specific options, so you have to understand and remember it. All right, so it's a very point to point kind of a thing. So Drishti book provides you that. Then there's a UP special pointer. I think it's released a month or before the Drishti book releases. But the point is, if you're doing Drishti book, I don't think you need to do UP special pointer. You can go for either the special pointer or the Drishti book. You don't really have to do both the books. All right. Then there's Arihant current affairs book for practicing MCQs. There's a book which comes, this is also very optional thing. You don't really have to do it, but if you want to practice MCQs, you can find it anywhere. You buy it anywhere, like online or offline stores, and you can practice MCQs out of it. All right. So this is for current affairs. Current affairs, I'm telling you again, it plays a very important role in the selection part. There are a number of questions which are asked from current affairs. So please go through the current affairs questions and the practice of questions very, you know, consistently. You should not leave it that you will do current affairs a month before prelims, because it becomes very difficult for you to remember the kind of facts and the points which are given in the book. So start it like approximately 2 months before the prelims and do it. All right. So how to go about with the books and basic strategy? You have to make notes of the previous year's questions papers, especially the ones which are asked in the last 10 years, because in UPPCS and UPSC or any other examination for that matter, the previous year plays a very important role. And so make notes out of it, then revising the notes plus adding anything that is relevant from the current affairs issues. And notes should also be made up of Ghatna Chakra, as books are pretty lengthy and thus it becomes difficult to revise in the last days. And important current affairs topics to be clubbed with the prelims topics. This is more from UPSC point of view, because UPSC may the current affairs and the static part, they are clubbed together and then they are asked. Alright, but in UPPCS mains, alright, you can definitely try this technique. It will definitely increase your marks by at least in one question. If you are earning 1 or 2 marks just by adding the current affairs things, then it becomes deciding factors in your selection. So this is